Hello everyone, welcome back to Coin Bureau Clips. It is time for another Q&A. That time has rolled around once again, and as you'll see, it's just me today, I'm afraid. Nick is busy with other things. Jess is unfortunately not feeling very well, so you will just have to put up with my brain today, giving you answers to your questions. Thank you to everyone who sent questions in via Instagram. I should say that I'm recording this on Friday, the 24th of May, which is a pretty historical day because the ETH ETFs have just been approved in the United States. We are coming to the end of what has been a really monumental week for crypto. So I think probably this is something we're going to address this in some videos on the main channel in the coming week or so. We'll also be talking about it in the weekly news and lots more of that to come. But for now, we'll concentrate on some of the questions that you guys have sent in over the last few days. So the first question comes from TH Haas. Did you pay for pizza with BTC? Now, on a normal week, Bitcoin Pizza Day may have been really the only sort of big story of the week, but obviously it got rather overshadowed by all the excitement around Ethereum and ETFs and political goings-on, etc. So yes, Wednesday, the 22nd of May, was Bitcoin Pizza Day. As I'm sure all of you know, this commemorates the day back in 2010, when a computer programmer called Laszlo Hanyecz paid 10,000 BTC for 2 Papa John's pizzas. So we and many other people in crypto commemorated that day. That was obviously a big why does anyone care about that? This was the first thought to be the first transaction involving BTC for actual goods. In this case, 2 pizzas. So that's why it's a big deal. Obviously, those 10,000 BTC were not really worth very much back then, and are worth quite a lot today. And I should say as well that Laszlo is apparently pretty cool with it, and I think really should be celebrated. I think he's one of those kind of unsung heroes of the Bitcoin story, because without people like him doing things like that and using Bitcoin in its early days, it arguably wouldn't have got off the ground. So I think he deserves a lot of credit for doing that. Anyhow, did we pay for those pizzas with BTC? The short answer is no, we did not. To the best of my knowledge, there isn't a pizza joint here in Dubai that accepts BTC. So anyone listening who's from Dubai and is feeling entrepreneurial, just saying. I must say, I'm glad we didn't. Although it would have been very appropriate, the pizzas themselves did make me feel a bit queasy. There was a lot of grease going on, and I'm glad we didn't spend valuable sats on that because I'm still kind of recovering from it. So there we are. Okay, all right, moving on to the next question from Norman 125967002. What about an update on AAVE? Will there be one on the main channel or CBC only? Yeah, so it's been a while since we covered AAVE. We are starting to sort of do some more of these project reviews on the main channel. AAVE is a pretty big one, is a pretty high market cap. So if we do cover AAVE, which I think if the demand is there, we certainly will. If we do cover it, that will be on the main channel. CBC, we generally tend to cover much smaller market cap coins. We did in the sort of early days of it cover XRP and Tron because we hadn't done sort of updates on them on the main channel for a long time. Obviously, those are altcoins that still a lot of people are interested in. But yeah, CBC generally tends to be much sort of lower market cap stuff that gets voted for by CBC members. So any AAVE update that comes your way will be on the main channel. And now that you have mentioned it, Norman 125967002, I will remember it, and we will discuss it as one to possibly cover in the near future. Okay, so next question comes from Zolt Zip. Is there a relation between Fed rate cut and money printing? Good question. Okay, so where do we start with this? So when the reason that the Fed cuts interest rates is to try and stimulate the economy by making borrowing cheaper. So the theory goes that if it becomes cheaper to borrow money, then more people will borrow money to do things like start businesses, buy homes, buy assets, etc. And that increased economic activity will sort of juice the economy overall. Now, that is not, literally money printing per se. It often gets referred to this thing of money printing. Like I don't think anyone sort of regards money printing as the actual printing of money anymore. It's become a kind of catch-all term for either looking to kind of increase economic activity via, for instance, rate cuts, or actually expanding the money supply, which again can happen through rate cuts. The other way that sort of money can be quote unquote printed is if the Treasury Department decides to issue more debt in the form of government bonds. So yeah, I mean there is a relationship, because basically both are done with the aim of juicing the economy, of increasing economic activity, and rate cuts are sort of sometimes viewed as money printing, although they're not kind of per se. They are basically making it cheaper to borrow. Any sort of issuance of money is generally, if you want to call it that, is done by the Treasury Department through the issuance of debt. Although the Treasury does actually control the printing of physical currency as well. A department of the Treasury Department is responsible for that, but that's not really the sense that we use money printing anymore, the term.
I was trapped inside a cage made out of the daily grind.
I was so unfulfilled. I felt like a blank sheet of A4 paper.
Something was missing from my life, but I didn't know what.
But then I found what I'd been missing.
The Coin Bureau deals page was the answer to my prayers.
It had everything I needed to make me complete.
Exchange sign-up bonuses of up to $60,000.
The biggest discounts on the best hardware wallets.
Trading fee discounts of up to 60% on the best crypto exchanges.
Exclusive altcoin alpha.
Thank you, Coin Bureau, for bringing me back to life.
M. Hetfield 27 asks, will BTC always remain the top market cap coin, or can a new player top it one day? Yeah, well, this gets discussed every so often. I guess now that we have increased sentiment around Ethereum and Ethereum spot ETFs in the United States for the first time, or on the cards, I guess we can sort of talk about the idea of a flippening, i.e., because at the moment the only cryptocurrency that stands even the remotest chance of flipping BTC by market cap is ETH. I used to be of the opinion that ETH could flip BTC someday, obviously a long way down the line. I'm kind of not so sure of that anymore. I think personally that BTC will remain the largest market cap crypto by a very long way. But I think, obviously there's been a huge amount of interest in the spot Bitcoin ETFs so far in the United States. Bitcoin, I think, is sort of the most familiar to not only institutional investors, but kind of, if you like, non-crypto investors, people who might look to allocate a small percentage of their portfolio to crypto. I think Bitcoin would always be their first stop. So I think for the foreseeable future, yeah, BTC will remain top market cap coin, and whether a new player can top it one day, I kind of doubt it. I'd be interested to see what that player would look like. Okay, Think CD asks, thoughts/comments on crypto venture capital at the moment? That's an interesting question. Okay, so I think VCs in crypto, a lot of people like to point out on crypto Twitter and elsewhere that things like Bitcoin and Ethereum were not launched using venture capital. They were sort of grassroots movements, if you like. Ethereum, its ICO was kind of was kind of open to anyone. There wasn't really any sort of venture capital money put in. And there you have the top 2 market cap coins. They had no need for venture capital. Do any of these other coins have any need for venture capital? And I think of late, VC money and VC involvement in crypto has come in for a lot of criticism. I would say that there are good VCs and there are bad VCs. At the end of the day, the thing that all venture capitalists have in common is that they're there to make money. And I always treat a great Twitter account you should follow, by the way, is VCs congratulating themselves. Because it sends up sort of very pretentious venture capitalists really, really well. But I think, they're all there to make money. And I don't have a huge amount of time for these ones that are sort of, pretending that they're doing great things and, that they're in the arena, if you like. They're there to fund projects and they're there to make money out of funding those projects. However, I think there are a lot of well-intentioned VCs out there who are looking to bootstrap promising crypto projects, who are looking to genuinely bring good projects to market. And although their ultimate aim is to make money, they look to do that in a responsible and sustainable way, which means not dumping the token on the market at the first possible opportunity. Which means continuing to support the projects that they're invested in, which means sort of, providing sort of long-term advice and things like that. But on the other hand, there are plenty of bad VCs out there who will literally do the opposite. They will literally just look to pump money into a project, dump the token as soon as they possibly can. They don't care. They just move on to the next one. And unfortunately, there are plenty of those in crypto at the moment, not naming any names. However, if you guys want a really good insight into how crypto VCs think, then there are 2 really good podcasts that you can follow. Castle Island Ventures. I'm not sure they'd be too happy about being described as VCs, but that is Nick Carter and Matt Walsh. They have a podcast called On the Brink, which they do a kind of weekly roundup. I think it usually comes out on a Friday. They are really knowledgeable guys about sort of all things crypto, and their podcast, the On the Brink sort of weekly roundup, is something I listen to religiously. Another thing I listen to religiously is the Chopping Block. Now, you can find this if you go to Laura Shin's Unchained podcast. Then it kind of hosts the Chopping Block. Laura occasionally joins the guys on that. That is sort of 4 crypto VCs, all, again, really knowledgeable, passionate and engaged guys. And they have, again, a kind of weekly roundup show. I think they do that on a Thursday. And that gives a really, really interesting, both of them give really, really interesting insights into how people on kind of that side of the fence think. And both, I think, are really worth listening to. So On the Brink by Castle Island Ventures and The Chopping Block, sort of brought to you by Unchained. That will give you a really good insight into how crypto VCs think and how they see the industry. And like I say, these are really knowledgeable people. They're not sort of there, to just juice a project and then squeeze it for as much as possible. They actually really, really know what they're talking about. So I do recommend having a listen to both of those projects. Okay, that's quite enough about crypto VCs. Gosh, they got a lot of airtime. Okay, Andre Ventura. Which top performing projects from last cycle may fade in the coming bull run? I think there was another question sort of on similar lines to this, wondering about projects from last cycle. Now, this is hard to say, and I'm not going to name any particular names here, but I think it should be sort of easy enough to work out. There are a lot of projects, some of them with very, very large market caps, that peaked in the last cycle, in my opinion, and probably won't do again. Now, this, I think, is not necessarily a reflection on the projects themselves or the technology that they've developed or even what they're trying to do. A lot of it is, unfortunately, or fortunately, if you like, crypto is very, very fixated on new things. And of course, it's a very rapidly evolving technology, which means something that was cutting edge last cycle may well have been overtaken by something more cutting edge this cycle. So that explains partly why I think there are better returns and perhaps more promise to be found in a lot of newer projects. The problem with these kind of like underperforming cryptos from last cycle is that however good they may still be, or they may have been in the past, the problem is that a lot of liquidity is locked up in their coins and tokens. And I think this is going to be a problem as we come, as the bull market develops, as we, or if you like, we come into the bull market proper. There is a lot of liquidity. There are a lot of bag holders in these old projects. So how do you spot them? Because like I say, I'm not going to name names, partly because I might be wrong, and also because their communities will jump down my throat and hate on me, and life's too short for that. So the way that you can spot these is to look at these, look at large projects, look at ones that were big last cycle, and ask yourself, are they still at the cutting edge from a technological point of view? Do they still have a lot of mind share? Are people talking about them, or do they just have, sort of communities of bag holders, basically? And if you can look at that project and go, well, that's not getting much in the way of adoption. It's had all this time and it's still sort of largely, there doesn't seem to be a huge amount of development going on there. Or has something else come along that does what this project was aiming to do, but does it better, faster, more efficiently, whatever. Then, if once you look at projects through those lenses, it should be fairly easy to spot which ones are just sort of treading water and have basically been sort of kept alive, or their coins and tokens have certainly been kept alive by the fact that a whole load of people bought them in the last cycle and are desperate to see them go up again. And let me tell you folks, as soon as they do, or if they do, there will be a whole lot of bag holders just waiting to dump. So be careful. Okay, so the next question comes from gengram.ldn. Is that gengram.london? I hope so. London. Okay, what is the best way to find potential top meme coins early? Any tips? Asking for a friend. Sure, Gengram. Yeah, we did a video about this recently on the main channel, so I will link to that in the description. Do give that a watch because there's some very insightful stuff in there, even if I say so myself. So I think what I'll say first in regards to meme coins is I think over the last few months, spotting sort of the new hot meme coin has only got harder, and it wasn't particularly easy to begin with because we have the likes of pump.fun, which is incredible in that it's made it so easy for literally anyone to launch their own meme coin. Obviously pump.fun is focused on Solana, and Solana has been where sort of much of the meme coin activity outside of Ethereum has been happening. So that video we sort of look at a few things, and I won't spend too much time here because I really think it's worth watching that to get the sort of full rundown. A couple of things I think that I can sort of direct your friend to. I think first of all, now this is something I learned the hard way. I tried to play, obviously there are different types of meme coins, and broadly speaking, you've got ones that are sort of focused on a particular meme, and others that are often focused on a particular event. For example, there are a whole load of pizza-themed meme coins that were spun up for Bitcoin Pizza Day earlier this week, and guess where they all went? Now, ones themed around events are generally a lot harder to call. I thought I was being very clever by gambling on a couple of dragon-themed meme coins around Chinese New Year a few months ago because it was the year of the dragon, and neither of them actually pumped at all on Chinese New Year. They did actually pump a little later. I think they were just kind of lifted by the sort of general excitement around meme coins, in general. So I did actually make a little bit of money on them, but not for the reasons I was expecting, and not nearly as much as I hoped to make. So any sort of event-themed meme coin, and obviously once the event has come and gone, that's it. There's no real staying power for them. So I think it's much more prudent to focus on ones that have a strong meme. This, I think, is why Pepe, for example, has done so incredibly well, because the Pepe meme is really, really strong. And it has, obviously, it's sort of deeply embedded within the whole crypto ecosystem, which is why I think it's kind of continued to do well. You know, if you go on crypto Twitter, you will see the Pepe meme all the time. You will see Pepe everywhere. But also because the Pepe is sort of strong outside of crypto, and it was a kind of long-standing meme long before anyone made a meme coin about it. And I think Doge is kind of similar in that respect. So I think what you want to be looking for is something that has strong memeability. Is this something that can endure as a meme? Is this something that has that kind of virality to it? Another good tip, if you're trying to spot what might be a successful meme coin, is to look at the distribution of it. A lot of the meme coins that have done well recently have been ones where the devs have actually sold early. Now, this happened, I can't remember if it was with, I think this would have happened with Dog with Hat. Now, Dog with Hat meme coin on Solana has been just insane recently. But the Dog with Hat devs actually sold out very, very early for, you know, a literal pittance, if you like, compared to what they could have made if they'd held. However, I think that was one of the big reasons why Dog with Hat did well, because people were able to look at the distribution and see that it wasn't just, that a huge amount of the supply wasn't just being held by maybe one or two wallets. Because when that happens, when people can see that that is the case, they know that there is a dev team or, you know, a creator or whoever just waiting to dump on them as soon as the price goes up. So if you see that if the dev team has sold out early, if you see that that distribution has happened, or maybe they're not sold out, maybe they've been canny and distributed it to a lot of different wallets, then that is a good sign as well, because I think people are far more likely to get on board with that because they see a reduced chance of it being a rug pull, basically. So yeah, a few things around meme coins. Leading in nicely to RM City's question, the irony. Why are meme coins getting so much more investment than actually useful coins like Atom, Uni and Phil? Well, RM City, possibly because idiots like me are talking about meme coins far too much, and I really should stop. The only reason I am is that they have been, well, it's been very difficult to ignore them for one thing, and they are kind of fascinating from a game theory perspective, if you like, from sort of the madness of crowds angle. So why are they getting so much more investment? I think because, ultimately because people see higher chance of returns. People are gambling, and that is what, as I've said time and time again, you don't invest in meme coins, you gamble on them. So why are they getting so much more, quote unquote, investment than actually useful coins like Atom, Uni and Phil? Just because people see a larger upside. Atom, Uni and Phil are objectively useful coins. They are all part of long-standing projects that I think still have a lot of potential. In the case of Uni, obviously the native token of Uniswap, Uni holders were recently, the Uniswap DAO recently voted for Uni holders to be able to get a cut of protocol fees, which gives it a huge amount of utility, and Uni has been performing pretty strongly since then. Atom, ditto as well. Atom has struggled, I think, because, although it is useful, although it is, sort of core to the Cosmos ecosystem, it's not sort of being used for fees on so many of these Cosmos blockchains. Atom does need to kind of get that sorted in a way. So yeah, but meme coins are just attracting more quote unquote investment just because the upside is larger. I think a lot of people are also perhaps a little, disillusioned with the fact that there are so many cryptos out there that do promise real utility, that do have so much potential from that point of view, and that just haven't delivered for one reason or another. So not only is the profit, the profit margins potentially larger with meme coins, but I think there's also a certain amount of kind of nihilism and disillusionment with it as well, which is sad to see because it would be great to see money flooding into projects that offer a bit more than meme coins, but that's where we are right now. Okay, couple more questions and then we'll wind it up. Alex Karapchea, I hope I've pronounced that right, I almost certainly haven't. What are the chances now for a Q2 correction? We don't have a crystal ball, but a guesstimation works too. I'm glad you're happy with the guesstimation, Alex, because that's what it's going to have to be. Yeah, we have been talking about a potential Q2 correction for a while now. The main catalyst, I think, of this that a lot of people have talked about is a drain in liquidity. Now this, I think that, well, basically I think there's a 50-50 chance of this. A Q2 correction, it depends whether you're sort of talking about a correction sort of for all markets or a correction for crypto in particular. I mean, if there is a sort of wider market correction, then I can't see crypto outperforming things like stocks or anything like that. So crypto would be sort of swept up in a kind of more general Q2 correction. Yeah, I guess this would be caused by if the Federal Reserve decides to keep interest rates higher for longer. A lot of people were expecting a rate cut by now. We haven't had that because inflation has still been quite sticky in the US. It is actually coming down in a lot of other places. It's come down. It's getting towards 2% in the UK now. If you believe the official figures, that is. I would say my guesstimation is there is a 50-50 chance of a Q2 correction. There's an argument to be said that people like the Treasury Department will be looking to juice the markets ahead of the election in November, but maybe they would look to do that sort of after any Q2 correction. Of course, if we get a black swan that causes a recession, then that would obviously take all markets lower. But I think at the moment it is very much kind of 50-50. How do you play that? It's very difficult. I think it means that you probably want to keep some of your powder dry in expectation of a correction. But of course, it's difficult to balance that because you don't want to find the opposite and it all takes off in Q2 and you're underallocated. I don't think it hurts to keep some dry powder though, because you just never know. Okay, Rick Blend 222. Final question here: restaking, future or trouble? Yeah. Okay. Well, yes, actually, because I wanted to talk a little bit about all the sort of stuff that we saw with EigenLayer recently. When I was addressing the question of crypto VCs a few minutes ago, one of the projects that came in for a lot of criticism around that was EigenLayer, which has obviously received a lot of VC funding. And I should say that the guys on the chopping block had some very interesting perspectives on that whole thing. Obviously, the EigenLayer airdrop was a bit of a disaster. But can restaking itself be the future, if you like, of crypto, which I think is what Rick is asking, or is it a lot of trouble? I mean, I speak as someone who bought a restaking token, RSTK, Restake Finance, on the possibility that it was going to sort of front run EigenLayer, and it has only gone in one direction. I've basically lost all of that investment. Fortunately, it wasn't too large. So maybe I'm a little biased on this. I think restaking has a lot of potential. There are some really fascinating projects being built in the EigenLayer ecosystem, and of course you have EigenLayer itself. For me, I can't shake the feeling that it is all very risky. For that reason, I don't see myself really getting on board with the whole restaking thing. I'm certainly not, I'm holding my ETH in my own hardware wallet. I haven't got any staked. I've seen I've seen a lot of people saying, well, why would you stake it for a sort of, 4 or 5% yield when, there's potentially so much upside to it? And I think that's a good point. Obviously there is a lot of ETH being staked. That comes with its, with risk as well as yield, obviously. Is restaking going to be the future? I mean, we did do a video on EigenLayer and this whole restaking thing recently. Again, I'll leave that link to below, so do check that out. There is definitely a kind of house of cards aspect to the whole restaking thing. That's not to say that I think EigenLayer or necessarily any of the projects in its ecosystem are likely to fail. But for me, I'm happy just to hold my ETH. I don't want to stake it. I certainly don't want to restake it. And if this is something that you are thinking of doing, then all I can say is don't put your whole stack on it. Don't, this is something, restaking and getting all these liquid tokens and restaking them is certainly a way to get yield, which a lot of people are after. But I would say personally, leave it to the degenerates, leave it to the real sort of professional yield farmers, if you like, because it comes with a lot of risk and you've really got to know what you're doing, as far as I'm concerned. Okay, all right, that is it for today's Q&A. Thank you everyone for sending in your questions. Thank you everyone for watching. I will, maybe it'll be me next week, maybe it'll be Nick and Jess, or some combination of us three. But thank you for putting up with just me for today. I appreciate it very much. And yeah, keep watching the cryptoverse, guys, because as I said at the start of this video, there is a lot happening in the industry at the moment. We are living through some really, really interesting times. ETH ETFs, positive moves towards regulation, crypto regulation in Washington, DC and elsewhere. This is the time, folks, to be paying attention. Thanks very much for watching.